Hey everyone, welcome to the show. We're here with Ken Hoglund. Stand by. We're here with Brofessor and friends. Surprise, surprise, we are early today. Heck, you may still be at work and cheating on your work a little bit with a little live Brofessor and friends, but we appreciate you being here. I'm here with Ken Hoglund from Hoglund Overland. Ken, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be on, and just to visit with you is fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I've been following you on Instagram for a while. You are quite the entertainer, and entertainment is what I'm all about. So when I'm scrolling down through there and seeing some of your videos, man, I tell you what, it is a pleasure to watch. So I appreciate you taking your time out of your day. I don't even know. You may supposed to be at work. Who knows? But you're here with us, and we appreciate it.
I am supposed to be at work. Technically, I am at work, so don't tell my boss.
Right.
Okay?
Well, we won't tell nobody. Nobody watches the show anyway. So,
No.
tell us a little bit about yourself. Let us get to know the man behind the beard.
So the man behind the beard, I live in just south of Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm kind of an outdoor enthusiast. And kind of to where I've gotten today was, previous to owning my truck, this was the first truck I've ever owned. I don't know anything about the truck world. I'm learning as I go. I grew up in Southern California. My siblings, my brothers had like a lowered T-Bird. My other brother had a Civic. My dad grew up with hot rods. My grandpa did drag racing in the 60s. We are very much a vehicle family, but never anything to do with trucks. So, previous to buying a truck, I owned a sedan, and I've always been into photography. And buying a truck really was just to kind of explore the outback. And, I kind of just stumbled into this whole overlanding thing. It wasn't my goal to get into this. I was just wanting to get out and have a capable vehicle to take pictures of moose, take pictures of deer, elk, the different sites of Utah, and to take my kids along with it. I have 4 kids, ranging 3 to 9 now, but at the time in 2015, I had 2 kids with 1 on the way. And kind of the funny side story is my wife, when I told her I wanted the truck, she was like, well, you could get a truck, you could get the Tacoma, but you have to fit 3 car seats in the back.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, challenge accepted. So I did some research, and I figured out there's car seats advertised for Civics, and if I could fit 3 car seats in the back of a Civic, I knew I could fit those car seats in the back of a Tacoma. And I think my wife didn't think I was going to do it, and here I am 6 years later, happy with my truck. And my kids have outgrown those car seats, except my littlest. And we're just still outdoors having fun, photographing nature. But nowadays, the way that we got to where we're at today was, I'd be out taking pictures of nature, then I'd turn around and take a picture of the truck. And a lot of people started noticing me. They were like, man, you're out all the time. You're taking these cool pictures of your truck in random places. Like, who are you? And I'm just like, I'm just a guy taking pictures of nature, and just happened to take a cool one of my truck. And, that's kind of how I got started, for sure.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, I've talked to quite a few people who really enjoy the photography aspect of it, and to be honest, I was never really a car guy up until I bought the car that I have now, my FJ Cruiser. Pretty much, and my wife has one now too. She liked it so much, and she'll tell you the cars that changed her lives. Up until that point, vehicles were just something that got us from point A to point B, and really words wasn't anything special. Now we have motorcycles that we love and love on and do all that, but they're. I think that's true with a lot of people who are in the overlanding world. The vehicle changed a life and really changed everything about what you do, the money that you spend. Getting yourself out there, taking the places that you go. And I think that's a true story that a lot of people can relate to for sure.
Yeah, the vehicle definitely changes someone, and I get quite a bit of people reaching out to me on Instagram and saying, what's your, they ask me, would you ever get another vehicle? Would you ever change out from a Tacoma? And I'll pose that question to you, Joey. Would you ever change out from your FJ, or are you happy with it?
I'm pretty happy with it, but there are some other options out there I would consider if I could afford them.
Yeah, and that's my point that I tell people. I'm just like, don't focus so much on the vehicle. I'm really close with the guys at Tacoma Beast. I think we'll probably get to that. And Tacoma Beast, my buddy Mateo always says it's all about the taco. But more than that, what I'm always telling people is it's all about the adventure. It's not so much the vehicle. And I'll I will back step a little bit and say, the vehicle matters. You want to be able to arrive safely, mechanically, not to have issues. You want a reliable vehicle. But more than that, it's about the adventure and getting out. I mean, my dad used to take us camping as a kid. We used to get to the trailhead to where we would camp 50 miles, hike 50 miles, and camp for 8 days straight. And he'd park on the trailhead in a Civic. I mean, the vehicle doesn't so much matter. It's about the adventure of getting out.
That's true. It's true. It's all about seeing and exploring and getting out and doing. A lot of people ask. I see it pretty much every day on social media. People are saying, "What do I need to do to my vehicle before I can go out?" And we tell them every time, "Just go." So many
gas.
vehicles, just go. There's so many vehicles are capable right off the lot. I mean, you don't have to have the racks and the rooftop tents and all this. I mean, we were going when we had a 2-person tent and a little rocket stove. We didn't have nothing, and we were getting out, and some of those are the most memorable experiences that we have.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend a good tire, but a stock suspension, a stock wheel will get you very far. I mean, you don't need crazy wheels. You don't need a crazy lift. You just need a sense of adventure. And I will say you need tires. I think tires makes a huge difference. I've come across plenty of people with damaged tires on the trail that kind of bit off a little more than they could chew. But tires and gas is what I tell people. All you need is get out. And my first tent, actually, when I was off-roading, my first tent was a bed tent, something that connected to the rails.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I had a long bed, I might not have the build I have today, because the only reason I got away from that is because I have a short bed and I'm 6'2", and I started camping in the cold, and my feet would just get cold in the middle of the night. So I was like, I can't sleep in this bed tent, and I don't want to be on the ground. And I ended up with the rooftop tent, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same story that I have. We didn't think we would want a rooftop tent. Going up and down a ladder in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom was not something that we both dream about, and so we settled with a ground tent for a long time. But then we realized, well, when you take a ground tent, if you want to sleep well, you got to have mattresses, you got to have cots, you got to have all this stuff, and that was taking up so much room in the FJ that I was like, man, we could create so much space if we get a rooftop tent. So we ended up going with that. Now, I know that you are a very creative guy. If anybody has followed you on your social media, they know that you are a super creative guy with your videos and different things like that. Well, guess what? I'm a creative guy too. Stand by for station identification.
Hey everyone, it's Adam. It's Step 22 Gear.
Yeah, I got it. All right, you ready?
Hey guys, this is Frankie from Overland Rentals.
Hi, I'm Jeremiah from Overland Pioneer.
This is Aaron from Artemis.
I'm Tyler with Yoda Adventure.
Hi, we're Jessica and Jorge of Live Work Wonder.
Hey, this is Aaron from Artemis Overland Hardware.
It's Jeff with Bad Act Adventure Co.
I'm Aaron with Switchback Outdoor Safety.
It's Chris from More Expo.
And you are watching Brofessor.
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 Brofessor and Friends.
Professor and Friends.
Brofessor and Friends.
Brofessor and Friends.
Friends.
Brofessor and Friends.
And Friends.
That's always fun. It's always fun to go up to people and say, "Hey, will you give me a little intro for my show?" And they do that, and I garble them together, and then they contact me and say, "You made me look like an idiot." I said, "Well, that's what I do. That's what I do."
You're like, that's on you. That's on you.
Yeah.
For your video, and that's how you were.
That's how I work. It's the chance you take when you send me a video. That's what's going on. So tell me, Ken, how did you become the creative master that you are on your Instagram videos?
You know, it was noticing a trend on Instagram. I've always been into photography, and I don't even know how many posts I have. 800 posts since day one, since I started. They're all photos. Primarily, they're all photos. And I've noticed over the last year, Instagram is trying to be pushed into videos, into the reels. And, you know, sink or swim. I mean, it's like, do you want to keep doing this hobby? Do you want to keep having fun and doing it and making a difference? Or do you want to just keep doing what you've always been doing? And I had fun. I had fun with the videos, but since I bought the drone, early last year, I wanted to push myself to use it more and make videos, and it was kind of a natural fit. I've made a couple YouTube videos. I'm comfortable with the equipment. I've never fully jumped in with both feet into YouTube, but it's kind of fun to recreate some of these popular reels that you'll see on Instagram or the videos on TikTok, and just kind of apply those ideas, basic ideas, to what we're doing in camping and overlanding. And that's kind of been my success is, you know, I don't really necessarily have many original ideas. It's kind of just seeing what's popular and just kind of applying it to what we do and have fun.
That's true. That's true. And there's somebody who watches your videos. Of course, Adam Bryant said his name is not Robert. That was one of the last ones you did. It was that was one that really cracked me up. I had a good laugh at that one. And this is one of the ones that I saved. And if you haven't seen, you need to go to at Hoglund Overland, but you'll catch videos just like this.
Put your head on my...
Oh, that's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, you told me earlier before the show started that your wife got in on that little video. You don't see her much on your videos. Does she run the camera? What's her role in this?
No, my wife is just kind of she's slightly embarrassed with what I do, and she's supportive with me taking the kids and just giving her a break. Like on Tuesday, I ended up taking all 4 kids camping, and it wasn't much of an argument. She said, "Darn, you're going to give me a night by myself? Really? Are you sure you want to do that?" No, there was no argument. She just said, but on that reel that you just showed right there, it was quite funny. We were actually on a family reunion, and my father-in-law and my 2 brother-in-laws were down at the lake, and it was a bumpy road. And I don't drive 10 miles an hour on a bumpy road. I passed all of them. Maybe drove 10 miles up, and I realized, if I just get to the pavement, I'm going to be waiting forever. And I was. I had my wife hold the camera for that one that you just saw, and she was just like, "What are you doing?" She didn't understand what I was going for. She was just holding the camera, and I jumped in the air. Then I backed up the truck and just like drove by, and she had no idea. And then I stitched it together, and she was like, "Oh, okay, I see what you're doing. You know, that's kind of fun. And
Yeah.
she enjoyed the other one that someone just mentioned about Robert. She actually sent me a reel on Instagram Tuesday night of someone doing that same thing, you know, drinking and saying her name wasn't Linda. And she wasn't saying you should do this, but I saw that and I was like, I could do that. And it's funny. So I just on the spot did that video. I'm not, you know, thank God my name's not Robert. And I don't know, it's just kind of fun. You know, over the years, I've only done photos, and the reels are really allowing me to be more creative and to kind of like broaden my wings and to do something more than just the truck. Because if you go back in just my post, it's only the truck and it's all about the truck, and it's not so much about me. The new algorithm that Instagram have is kind of pushing you to just be creative and have fun, and that's, you know, I'm enjoying it. It is fun.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's cool. Well, when talking about taking your kids and doing things like that, I have noticed that, you know, in between a lot of the funny videos that you have today, even you posted a picture. I can't remember if it's a picture or video of your kids,
yes.
and you talk about your family taking you out when you were a kid, and you're wanting to create memories with your children. So that's got to be a big importance in your life.
Yeah, my dad raised us. I'm the youngest of 5, and my dad's buzzword growing up is always memories. It's all about the memories. It's always, you know, creating memories that you'll always remember. You know, and not to get too into like memories and like creating something. More than just creating something, it's allowing opportunities for memories to have been created. So I like to take my kids and just take them outdoors, out of their norm. And the place that we went to Tuesday, where I did the Robert video, I had gone 3 weeks earlier, and my kids, they were like, "Hey, Dad, where we're going camping?" And I told them that we were going to go to the same spot, and they were excited. It's up in the mountains, 9,200 feet elevation, and escaping the heat of the valley, which has been triple digits, and up there it's a good 20-25 degrees cooler. So it's one, escaping the heat when I'm going camping, but 2, it's more taking the kids and creating those memories and hoping that they have lasting memories of having spent time in the mountains, out of the walls of the home. And not that the home is bad. My wife and I, we homeschool our kids, and we enjoy our home time together. But I like to get them away from the playground. I like to get them away from the TV and the video games, you know, and visiting friends. And not that friends can't come, but just to change the scenery to allow them to think outside of the box. And I think that's something that a lot of kids these days are missing, is just that connection with nature, and to not depend on something for constant entertainment. I struggle with that. You know, the funny thing about the reels is they're only successful if they capture your attention, and the average attention span of anyone is 8 to 10 seconds. You know, just that slower pace of just relaxing and listening to the birds. And you know, Tuesday night we listened to the owls. You know, overnight there was 3 owls in the area, and just kind of like, you know, calming down and listening to nature is what I'm trying to instill in my kids.
And how are they taken to that? How do they react when you take them away from all the things that are there to entertain them?
Yeah, so my oldest son, who's 9 now, just, you know, God bless him. You know, when he's never been the one to want to actually go off-roading. When he was younger, he used to, when he was like 4 or 5, he used to be like, "Dad, I can't go off-roading with you. It hurts my legs." I was like, there's nothing that hurts your legs about bouncing around on off-road. It was just an excuse not to go.
Right.
And fast forward to today, when he's 9, he's just like, I'm bored. And I'm like, well, what about this? What about that? And, you know, we went for a couple hikes, and, you know, he found a caterpillar, and he was just enthused with seeing how fuzzy and how the caterpillar moved like a wave. And, you know, it's just, it's trying to distract him from the fact that he's bored in his sense, you know, and what he likes to do, and just try to create a different opportunity for something else.
That's cool. Well, while we're on this subject, what advice would you have for people traveling with children? You've been out there, you've done it, you've got more than one. So the dynamic is there. You've had a lot of experience as far as eating, sleeping, entertaining. What advice would you give for those out there who are traveling with kids?
Yeah, it's been a complete learning curve for myself. When I first went, I focused on the gear. I focused
Mm.
on being comfortable, and I would bring something extremely easy to cook, and it hasn't been until like the last year when I added like a Weber grill to the mix that I was like, all right, rather than just heating up soup, heating up chili, I'm going to push myself a little more, and I'm going to bring steak, I'm going to bring salmon, and just focus a little more on cooking and enjoying being out there. And part of having kids is they enjoy being outdoors, not so much in the car. I haven't met many kids that just want to bounce around all day.
Yeah.
So I try to, if I'm taking the kids, I try to focus on not driving as much and just spending more time at camp. And my own personal experience was working up to cooking and enjoying myself. But more than anything is just going. Don't let kids keep you from going out and enjoying the outdoors. Introduce them to it. Take them with. Show them what you love about it, and you'll be surprised. They'll love it too. But sometimes I kind of laugh. In one of the videos that I did with Tacoma Beast, we went into San Rafael Swell for my son's birthday back in March, and here I am talking in this YouTube video about how beautiful it is and how it is awesome seeing these canyon walls, and at the same time, the GoPro was on me and my passenger, and in the back seat was my son with headphones on watching a show. And they just kind of called me out. They're just like, hey, here you are talking about enjoying nature and your son's just watching a show. And it's just like, sometimes, in that instance, my reply to him was like, hey, we're both living our best lives here. I'm enjoying the nature and he's watching a show, but sometimes you have to compromise. You can't just say no screen time. Yeah. That's a big buzzword in raising kids these days is screen time. And, there is a place and time for that. And when we're in the car, I'm not necessarily against it. I also encourage my kids to bring paper to draw on or books to read. But sometimes, sometimes I let them just watch a show.
Yeah. Well, they all have their own thing, and you really gotta explore the outdoors to try to find. There's something for everyone out there. You just have to find it. And a lot of times, but you're right, man, riding in the car, man, when I was a kid, that was the last thing I wanted to do. And that was before, when I was a kid, that was before there was any kind of video game. So we didn't have nothing.
Absolutely.
We were just, I sat back here and picked on my sister the whole time. That was pretty much all I had to do. But, good times. Yeah. Let me ask you, switching gears a little bit. You have super cool Tacoma. Tell us a little bit about your Tacoma and what you've done to it to make it how you want it.
So I have a 2015 TRD off-road Tacoma. Again, to kind of reiterate what I said at the beginning of the show is I didn't really buy the truck with the mindset to turn it into what it is today. I've kind of just slowly went in that direction. The first thing I've changed was the tires, and I kept it stock for the first 3 years. Really, I added skid plates underneath to protect the undercarriage. I realized early on that rocks are going to be flying on the dirt on the trail, and I wanted to protect the undercarriage. I even got skid plates before I got sliders. I even got them before bumpers, and not to say that's the correct methodology. That's what worked for me. But my mechanic that I go to always kind of laughs. He's like, "You're the poster boy for using your truck." I abused my stock suspension. Yeah. I didn't just from day one switch out to the suspension. I wanted to just use what I have. One, because I didn't have the money for it to just like right out the gate mod it. But two, I wanted to just use what was there, and that's what I did. And I've changed suspensions twice as that stock one. My first suspension was the ARB Old Man Emu BP51 suspension, and I had that for up until this year when I switched to the Kings, the OEM replacement 3-inch lift. And the thing about the Old Man Emu is when I made that initial investment, quite a few people were telling me I should just go with, just a simple lift if that's all I wanted to accomplish. But the reason I waited so long is I was like, I don't know if just a lift is enough. Should I just lift it 2 inches because I want it for looks, or, do I want to put it on blocks, or do I want a full suspension upgrade? And I quickly realized that the trails that I was taking and the distance that I was driving off-road, that I needed something slightly better than just, the next step up. So I went with the BP51, and that was great. That met my budget. Looking back, I've completely switched that out. The BP51 suspension kit comes with upper control arms, with leaf springs, with the shocks, of course. The shocks were the last thing I had on there. The upper control arms, I got rid of the SPC upper control arms. I went to Camberg. The leaf springs were the first to go. Rather than the 500-pound heavy duty, I went with the Deaver leaf spring. And the reason being is the 500 pounds couldn't hold up my heavy butt. I mean, I was sagging, and I was like the Carolina.
Hey, that's the style now. That's the style now.
That's not for me. I mean, I was bottoming out all over the place. It was a miserable ride. And then the Deaver leaf springs, that was the first one. And then the bump stops I changed, leaf springs, then the control arms, and then the shocks were just beat. And the thing about the Old Man Emus is they're not rebuildable. Once they start leaking, once they have their wear and tear, you have to just pull them off and replace them. So I replaced it with the Kings, and I've been happy with it. I feel like the Old Man Emus was a fantastic ride. The Kings are a fantastic ride, but the Kings will be able to hold on to for 5-10 years and just rebuild them, every 50,000 miles, rather than having to make that investment again. Other than that, I have Cbi Armor all the way around, the skid plates, sliders, front and rear bumpers. I went with CBI because a friend of mine worked for them at the time, and he gave me just a little bit of a discount. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not an influencer for them. I just, they're close by. I drove up for the install. The lights are Heretic Studios, another local company. Heretic Studios actually is more closer to home. They're in Salt Lake City, Utah. Bed rack. I have the Lightner bed rack. Having 4 kids and taking them all off-roading, I needed a bigger rooftop tent. So I went with a full-size bed rack so that I could fit the tent over my cab a little bit.
Right.
A lot of the ways that I've built my truck is just based off of who I am and what I'm using it for. A lot of people are like, hey, what do you think about this rack? And I was like, well, it depends on the rooftop tent that you're going to be storing. And it depends on what you're going to have in your bed. My configuration works great for me, but it's not going to work for someone that's just traveling around with him and his wife, or him and his buddy, whatever. Whatever the case may be for that individual. So I try to tell everyone as they're getting into this, use the hell out of your truck and figure out what works for you. Maybe you find yourself just wanting an aggressive look. Maybe the Bilstein 5100, I just saw someone mention that. I was originally thinking about that lift. It's a solid lift. If you're gonna be off-roading a ton and spend a lot of time off-road, you need the reservoirs and the more fluid to be cooling down the suspension. But if you're not going to be off-road that much, a simple lift is going to be just enough for you. Yeah.
What about a tent? You said you needed a large tent for you and your kids. I suppose y'all all sleep up there. What tent do you have?
Yeah. So my first tent was sleeping in the bed of the tent, the bed of the truck, and the tent just connected to the rails, and it was just over the bed, and I outgrew that. Not that I grew, but I was too tall for it. And then at the time, I only had 2 kids camping with me, and it was slightly uncomfortable being so compressed in the bed. So nowadays, I have a CBT tent. The first one I had was the Mount Rainier Pioneer, and then I switched to the Summit, and then I switched to the new Hybrid. I've switched tents probably 10 times. If you go over my over my Instagram, I'm not paid by CBT, but I am kind of like a tent tester for them. So I kind of take the tents that they're trying to bring to market and just kind of point out things, kind of give them helpful tips on what they could improve. And the newest tent that I have is the CBT Mount Fury. It's about the same size of a Mount Rainier, just slightly smaller, and it folds out of itself and is a hard shell. These newer tents that are coming to market are just super quick. The previous tent to this I had was the Mount Hood from CBT. That was just a strut lifted up tent, and that one was stupid, but awesome, quick to set up. But again, me and the 4 kids couldn't sleep comfortably in there, so it wasn't really practical for me.
Right. Yeah, that you definitely have to look at tents as something that's for you. My wife and I have a Free Spirit Evolution, and it sleeps 2. And you're not going to get another person in there. In fact, when my bulldog gets up in there, by the way, it's his birthday today. He turns 5, so happy birthday, Bruiser.
Happy birthday.
When he gets up there, it's crowded. You know, it's you're not going to fit more than 2 people up there, but you have to get something that's definitely for you. And there are quite a few options out there. I talked to a family a couple weeks ago on the show, and they have 3 kids, and they pull a trailer. So the 2 of them sleep in the trailer with the little kid, and they've got a little tent, and they got a rooftop tent. It's kind of like having a 2-story house they carry with them everywhere. So get whatever's right for you, for sure.
Yeah, and that's what this is all about. The overlanding is just figuring out what's right for you. What's right for me, isn't going to be right for you. That's one thing about my, some people look at my huge following, and some people jump to conclusions that I'm just posting on behalf of companies and I'm making lots of money. Yeah, I've tried to keep. Occasionally, I will get free stuff, but I try to focus my Instagram towards this is a hobby. This is fun. And nothing's really free. If you get free stuff from someone, there's always the expectation that you're going to take photos, you're going to share it, and it's going to be work. And I've always tried to just, not that I'm inclined, not that I don't want to get paid by this, but, I try to be very specific with, if a company approaches me, it has to fit into what I'm doing, and it has to be a natural fit into what I'm doing, and just, it can't be something extra that's going to feel like a burden.
Yeah, I totally get that. We talked about it earlier about the time that you spend putting into your social media or your YouTube or something like that, and how much that would take away if you did that and concentrated on that instead of concentrating on your children and giving them the life that you want them to have. That's really more of your goal than actually putting out content and creating a huge YouTube following or something like that.
Yeah, and I have a lot of content, and I enjoy the content creation, and what we were speaking about before was my YouTube channel. I have all the equipment to have a successful YouTube channel. I have the drone, I have the GoPros, I have the nice microphones, I have the DSLR, I have the ability and know-how for the most part to edit and have a successful vlog of a trip. But there's a certain level of, it takes away from the adventure. If all you're doing is telling the story and talking into a camera the whole time, it's going to take away from your time spent elsewhere. And if you're just visiting with yourself, there's not much to it. But when I'm traveling with my kids, it's a lot to juggle just being with my kids, let alone adding, talking into a camera and creating content for the YouTube channel. So I haven't placed a big emphasis on my YouTube channel. It's more just to share my drone footage as I go.
Yeah. But one of the friends that you do have has a huge following, the Tacoma Beast that you work well with, good friend of yours. Tell us a little bit about your friendship and a little bit about the Tacoma Beast.
Yeah, my friend Mateo is a fantastic guy. He's been out there hustling, building this company, and he kind of grew up, his parents are immigrants to the U.S. And he was raised part of his life in Ecuador, and him and his family put down roots in Florida. So to have him in the overlanding realm is completely new to him. He's learning as he goes, and over the years he's made mistakes. He's been criticized for mistakes, and he's learned quickly from it. Him and I have just been fantastic friends throughout the years, and I from day one I always tried to tell him, like, look, you're a cool dude. If you weren't, I wouldn't have you around. I don't have you around just because you have this massive following. I don't need free stuff. I don't need the exposure on Tacoma Beast. I mean, obviously, feature me, that'd be fantastic. But I'm not your friend just to be featured. And him and I, we might go weeks without talking to each other, and that's not because we're not friends. It's just he's super busy. He's juggling so much stuff with Tacoma Beast, and when he is out here, he's real intentional. He's so busy with his online business and with his Instagram and everything else he's juggling with the e-commerce, he's very intentional that when he comes out, and whoever he's with at the moment, he'll put his phone down and he's just with you. And I respect that. If I don't hear back from him, I'm just hopeful that he's off spending good time with someone else, and usually he is. He's very intentional that way, even though he's juggling a lot of stuff. But my involvement with him is I don't work with him. I'm not a partner in Tacoma Beast. I'm just an avid supporter and believer in what he is and what he does. And I have his sticker on my side of the truck, and that's not paid advertising or anything like that. That's just supporting my friend. And my truck's kind of a beast, and it's a Tacoma,
yes, it is.
So it's a Tacoma Beast. I joke, and it adds 10 horsepower to my truck. It's kind of...
I've got it's a little triangle air freshener that hangs on my rearview mirror. It's the Toyota Racing Stripes, and it says adds 10 horsepower. Yeah, I picked that up at FJ Summit a couple of years ago.
That's perfect.
But I totally understand, because when I bought my FJ, I really didn't realize the cult following that these things have, and Tacomas are really the same way. You get in with friends, there's like 10 FJ forums out there and groups on Facebook and all these different things, and everybody's jealous because they're still making them overseas, and all of ours are old and wore out, and we need some new ones. But the Tacomas are the same way. You get in there and you find something you want to support, and you find a group and see how everybody. It's amazing a million different ways that somebody can build out one single truck. It's really cool to look at. So that's very interesting.
The central theme of everyone, though, is that there's a theme of everyone just enjoying, not just the truck but the outdoors. And I went on a recent business trip up into Washington and Oregon, and I started posting stories about where I was, and someone reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, you're here." I was like, "Yeah, I'm here." He was like, "You want to meet up?" I was like, "Yeah, for sure. Here's my cell phone number." And Nick called me. I can't remember his Instagram off the top of my head, but Nick called me. He was like, "Dude, is this really you?" I'm like, "Yeah, who else did you expect? It's me. I'm here. You want to meet up?" And we met up in a parking lot outside of a sporting good, and it was just nice to meet other people in a different area. And if I had more time, I would have met up with more people and met more people and shared that share a common interest of just getting out, spending time outdoors. And that's the best part of this community, is meeting everyone and sharing that love of the outdoors. That's
true. And I had that down to ask you, what's your favorite part of overlanding, and I think you just answered that question, and it's mine too. It's amazing, the community that's out there, the people that you meet. Everybody's so nice, the way that everybody just groups up around the fire and shares stories, and it's probably the best thing about it. I love the places that we go. I love the rigs and the gear and all that, and I love meeting people like you and who are out there doing it. But when you get together with somebody and have a face-to-face around a fire, there's really no no replacing that, and that's what I love.
Yeah,
Absolutely love it.
unfortunately, these days we talk about a theoretical fire out in the West. There's
Yeah.
fire bans all over the place.
You talk about a
But,
fire out in the West, and some federal agents are going to show up at your door. So.
Yeah. I mean, Tuesday night, my really close friend Jeremy drove up, and we ended up camping together. I have 4 kids, and he actually has 10 kids. He brought 3 of his kids with him, and the 7 of the kids were just running around all over the place. But him and I, we sat around where the fire would be, because there was a fire ring. We just didn't have a fire, and we enjoyed drinks together, and we smoked cigars, and it was just an enjoyable time, just relaxing and just kind of enjoying something other than the city, and just kind of
it's funny.
Fun.
I tell people all the time. My boss asks me, and every time I go and I post pictures of where I've been, she says, "How come you always say the best thing about your trip was that you didn't see another person?" I said, "Well, I work with people every day. I don't want to see anybody when I leave. It's a way to get away, I love meeting up with friends, but I love the outdoors and the solitude of it. It's
it's kind of funny. A lot of times when I'm interviewed, I say, I'm not necessarily on podcasts. You're the first podcast I've ever done, but on like a YouTube video, they're like, what's your favorite thing about getting out? And I'm just escaping the day to day. And, in the back of my mind, my wife's never said anything, but I could hear my wife saying, "Are you escaping me? Like, what's the day to day?" I'm like, no. I'm not escaping that. I'm just getting out of my office, and enjoying the outdoors. And thankfully she's never like confronted me, but I have had that in the back of my mind. What do people think about the comments that I make, or with the couple of reels that I've posted this week, Robert, or about the Clamato drink. One of my coworkers were like, "Are you doing like advertisements for Coors Light?" I'm just like, "No, this is just, I have Coors Light and I'm just having fun." I just, even with like the Clamato, the red beer, like someone commented, be like, "Dude, you're drinking a Clamato. Like, why didn't you at least do it with the Mexican beer?" And I was like, "I just had Coors Light. I'm sorry." Don't read too much into it. It's just me having fun.
Just having fun. Just having fun. Well, tell me, what up to this point is your favorite place that you have ever went and camped?
I've been to some pretty epic places. I'd say there's been different experiences that have been favorites of mine. So one of my favorite campgrounds that I've ever stayed at was probably Denali National Park. In 2019, my dad and I drove all the way up to Alaska. But even probably before then, I mean, we camped at this place called the Top of the World Highway. And we took a ferry to cross this huge Yukon River. And we found a camp spot at 11 o'clock at night, and the sun was still out. There's memories in my own mind that have just been like, it holds a lot of value, not necessarily like an epic view, but like the journey to there. And that's part of Overland. And you asked what the favorite part of Overlanding is. It's like, it's the experience of getting to where you're going to camp, or just experiencing the outdoors. I mean, last year, Mateo and I did the Pony Express. We went all the way from Salt Lake City to Lake Tahoe. It's been well documented on his YouTube channel. And some of the places that we camped were fantastic. One night we ran out of daylight, and we camped next to a bunch of piles of, it felt like I was next to a bunch of manure. It wasn't, but it was just like, some nights are better than others.
Yeah, true. Definitely.
This last week, I camped in Washington, visiting a supplier of mine. And in Yakima, Washington, it was triple digits. And I made my way up White Pass, heading west, and I camped a place that had an incredible view, 6,000 feet elevation, 3,000 feet above the valley, and I escaped the heat, and I had an amazing view of Mount Rainier.
Wow.
I don't know. Nothing really comes out as like this is your favorite spot. It's just it's all different experiences that I've enjoyed, different aspects of, like going to Alaska or even just hitting the trail with friends, or there's definitely a couple favorite places that I will not tell you where they're at, but they're favorites.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. That's part of it right there, getting out and finding those places for yourself. That's cool, and I'm totally with you. A lot of it has to do with who's with you, like you and your dad taking that trip. That may put a lot more emphasis on the memory and how good of that memory is, and instead of actually where you're at. But there's really, it's really hard to pinpoint down to one when you've been to so many, because so many are so good. Do you ever?
Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt, but in talking about trips with my dad, I mean, we've camped together next to Warm Springs in Utah. We've camped on dried lake beds. One of my favorite trips with him was an epic view of the city below. That was really only 25 minutes out of, like, from my garage to where we camped. With the view of the city was only 25 minutes. That same night, I slept horribly because my dad snores. It's like the view of the twinkling lights was fantastic, but the night was horribly slept because my dad snores. I mean, what makes it a good camp spot? Just the experience, I think.
That's true. That's true. One of the best places we've ever camped was about 50 yards off the highway last year in Colorado. We just found it by accident, but we turned. It was getting late, and we turned and went straight up this hill, and there was a little shelf right there. It had a beautiful view of the mountains, and in fact, we went back there and camped a second time just because we loved it so much. It was a great experience. Oh, they're peeking in. Where's Dad?
Yeah, I think they're playing in the water right now.
Oh, okay, cool. Well,
you can say hi if you want to say hi.
Yeah, come on, say hi.
Come here, Asher. This is my friend, Joey.
Hi, Joey.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
All right, go back up. I'll be out in a little bit, okay?
So where is the Pop-Tarts?
I don't know. I'll get them
Oh,
later.
Man, he's got to have a Pop-Tart, Dad.
I'll get. You want to say hi to Thea?
No.
Say hi, Thea.
Hi.
Hi.
Liam?
Who's that?
That's Joey.
Hey, how are you, buddy?
Liam, what's
Nice
your
to meet
favorite
you.
part about camping?
I don't know.
There you go.
He don't know.
Advice from a 9-year-old. Go up. I'll get
Put him on the
Hey,
spot.
Hey, Daddy. I'm playing outside.
Oh, okay. Go to Mama. Mama will help you.
I love it.
Yeah. Yep.
I love it. That's and even that right there is
Yeah.
Go ahead, shut the door. It's fine. That's a big part of why we do this show. A lot of times when people see us on Instagram, all they see is our rigs and just pictures and videos and stuff. But this right here, that's real life right there. So we're breaking it down and getting to know you really well. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to ask you one final question. Anybody that's new into overlanding, what advice would you give to them from a seasoned veteran?
Yeah, I would just say, ask yourself, why are you doing it? If you're doing it to like build some big following and to become famous on Instagram or YouTube, I'd say, your time is better spent somewhere else. You should ask yourself why you're doing it. And if the answer is to go enjoy nature, you should do that. Enjoy nature, and just go have fun. Don't get caught up in the things that you could buy, because eventually you'll probably buy them. But you need to go out and enjoy and see what you really need. Buy a basic ground tent. Give that a shot. There's plenty of great ground tents out there. And, don't get caught up in the gear. Get caught up in having fun. Research where you're going to go and go create those memories for yourself and your family.
Exactly. Give yourself and your family the best life possible. We're never guaranteed time. I always tell people that that's the only thing we're never guaranteed, and that's time. We're never promised tomorrow. And so use that time wisely. Give you and your family the best life you possibly can until that time runs out. Ken, I appreciate you coming on with us. and taking time out of your busy day. I want to, right before we go, thank my sponsors. More Expo, April 8th through the 10th, 2022. Artemis, Linson, and KC Action Tracks. I appreciate y'all helping make sure this show happens each week. And this will be on the Overland Philosopher podcast as soon as I get it downloaded and then uploaded again. Ken, I appreciate you, brother.
Great.
I wish you all the best. And we will definitely be seeing you on social media. And I sure hope one of these days we run into each other and I can be like that guy and say, is that really you? Is that really you? Because I love meeting superstars like you.
Yep. My name's not Robert, though. Thank God.
That's right. It's not. Robert has a drinking problem. All right, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us. See you next week on Brofessor.